A successful businessman, a pioneer in breeding and racing, George Newell is one of the most important people ever in the development of the Washington State thoroughbred industry. He now enters the Washington Racing Hall of Fame. Born in the Georgetown district of Seattle in 1885, Newell became an influential downtown businessman, founding the George Newell Company, an insurance business located in the Dexter Horton building. After Longacres opened in 1933, Newell wanted to be involved in the exciting sport of thoroughbred racing. He was immediately involved as an owner, with breeding and racing homebreds soon to follow. In the late 30s, he opened beautiful Newellhurst Farm on 100 rolling acres in Kingston, a stone's throw from the ferry dock. From there, his operation grew quickly. Ralph Vaca was young during Newell's heyday, but knows of his importance.
Mr. Newell, George Newell, is certainly a deserving recipient into the Hall of Fame as a breeder. His accomplishments were many. His farm, Newellhurst Farm, which was located at Kingston, came right down to the water. It was a beautiful sight to go across the ferry, and as you approach the slip at Kingston, his farm loomed up on the left-hand side, it'd be the south side, and it came right down to the water. It was really picturesque and it was really beautiful, particularly on nice days. But a lot of really good horses came off of the farm, and Mr. Newell stood among others, leading stallions back in the 40s and so forth of Better Bet and Gene Miracle and Black Forest, who were very accomplished sires of their day. George Newell, in addition to being a leading breeder of his era, also was involved in many racing stables, and he raced a lot of very good horses. But more important in my opinion, was the contributions that Mr. Newell made to the overall industry. He was absolutely a visionary, a forward-thinking individual who put the industry way ahead of whatever personal things that he may have wanted to achieve. He was the first president of the Washington Thoroughbred Breeders. He was the man behind starting the Washington Thoroughbred magazine. He was the first editor. He got so many people from outside, Ed Donahoe, Len Tracy from Kentucky, to contribute to the magazine, and he himself every month wrote editorials and did so very, very much to forward the industry in the state of Washington. He really was a pillar. He was ahead of his time in doing things that benefited the industry at all levels.
A leader in the community, he was one of the 16 founders of the Washington Horse Breeders Association in 1940. Newell and Joe Godstein are credited with getting the WHBA off the ground. Racing, breeding, that was going on too, at a high level. Stakes winners bred and raced by Newell were plentiful, and he became a big player in the Longacres Mile. He got a runner-up finish with his first mile runner, Galavon, in 1951. Following him was Roman Secret, Silverado, My Urchin, and Author. Newell bought his wife an anniversary present by the name of Collaborator, and that horse won 4 stakes at Longacres in 1958. The Derby was one prize, and a week later he led all the way over 12 others to take the Northwest's top race, the Mile. Collaborator remains the last 3-year-old to win the Mile. He was a gelding, so he couldn't stand stud at Newellhurst, but that farm was busy. In 1957, he purchased How Now in California for the hefty sum $26,000, and that horse had a tremendous career, mostly for Newell. 26 victories, 11 stakes wins, and earnings of $339,000. Galavon was a successful runner and stallion, and for Newell, Galavon's tied to a highly unique story. His first side runner was Jerry's Gal, and that filly debuted on January 1st, 1958, of her 2-year-old season. And yes, she won the race. Later that summer, she won a division of the Washington Futurity. Ever the entrepreneur and innovator, in 1958, Newell helped expand the sport in Washington by being a founding member of the Yakima Turf Club.
We still see today how many horses with the Washington bred badge really can trace all the way back to the early days of he and others like him who put the industry first and were forward thinking, as I say, to helped Washington achieve all the notoriety and the fame and the successes that it has.
At his passing in 1964, Newell ranked 4th all-time on Washington's breeding list. He raced, he bred, he contributed, he led. George Newell enters the Washington Thoroughbred Hall of Fame.